So it used to be that the biggest crybabies in the college football world were you and me, the fans. The fans were the ones who would cry about whatever was ailing their team in a YouTube comment section or some forum in the tall grasses of the internet somewhere, or at the break room at work. You would argue with your coworkers or friends or whoever about how your team was getting screwed in one way or the other. Now, and I honestly never thought we'd come to this day, the biggest crybabies in football aren't you and me or our friends arguing at the water cooler. It's ADs of schools themselves, coaches, conference commissioners, etc., who are the biggest crybabies in college football. And I want to frame it that way because Notre Dame right now is the biggest crybaby of football, but they're not the first and they're not the last. Now, they're as stupid as those who have come before them. First, let's just talk about the facts of what happened. Obviously, Notre Dame's ranked ahead of Miami for, I believe, the entirety of the college football rankings until the last. Now, a lot of people have said this, but it's true. Notre Dame should have never been ranked ahead of Miami. You can argue until you're blue in the face in the comment section if you're a Notre Dame fan about why having the same record and same strength of schedule, all of this with a head-to-head loss, you should have been ahead of Miami. You should have never been ahead of Miami. That's where you should be mad if you're a Notre Dame fan. Like that's the one. Well, there's two things you can be mad about. That's one of them. I get the rug pull argument. But at the end of the day, the College Football Playoff Committee made the right decision. Now, since that's happened, well, first of all, why did that happen? Because there's two group of five teams in. That's the second thing I think a Notre Dame fan could point at is like, and I agree. It's completely stupid you have two group of five teams in and Notre Dame's left at home. However, when this was voted on as to expanding the playoffs and how this was going to work, you had the four conference commissioners and the AD of Notre Dame, and I don't know, there might have been a group of five representative in there. I don't know, probably not. But I know you had the four conference commissioners and Notre Dame's AD representing Notre Dame and voting on how the logistics of the college football playoff selection was going to happen. That means that you were more represented than any other school in the country and said, yep, we're okay with it. So excuse me if I'm not crying with you in the break room about Notre Dame getting left out. You signed off on this and were more represented by anyone. No school had a single representative just for their school. You're the only one, Notre Dame. Now, since this has happened, Notre Dame's AD has come out and said, the ACC has caused permanent damage to the relationship between themselves and the ACC. Permanent. He'll hurt you permanent. If you know, you know. I love Rocky. Anyways, never to be undone. Never to be undone. Setting aside the fact that the ACC has basically willingly been friends with benefits with Notre Dame, letting them, schedule five ACC games a year because Notre Dame's not in a conference and they get to fill out their schedule with Stanford and Cal or whoever the hell else they want to play out of the ACC. Syracuse, I think. Did they play Syracuse this year and beat up on them? And then get mad at the ACC. Also, the ACC extended you this massive olive branch during the pandemic where for 1 year you got to be in a real big boy relationship with the ACC just to leave later, which I think they never should have done. I think that they never should have done. Now, and this happened with Florida State where, and they had way more reason to be upset than Notre Dame does, by the way. But when someone gets screwed in college football, they pick the wrong target. The ACC's an easy target to beat up on right now. It's ACC's fault. The ACC don't have anything to do with it. Why are they mad at the ACC, by the way? Their AD also said he's mystified by the actions of the conference to attack really partnering college football member of their conference. So they're saying they're attacking the member of the ACC in 24 other sports, none of which are football. Here's the other crazy thing, is that all the Notre Dame fans are going to tell you it's not about conferences while they bitch, whine, and complain about all the other conferences. Georgia Tech fans, and rightfully so, from what I've seen in my time on YouTube, get accused of being pretentious assholes about their institution. Thank God for Notre Dame, because there's not a more pretentious, jackass fan base than the Notre Dame fan with the least reason to be that way. It's not 1950 anymore, all right? And the majority of the college football world is not Notre Dame fans. Maybe they didn't go up there to South Bend and tell you. You know how great South Bend, Indiana is? They had the College Football Hall of Fame up there. Oh, the history and the tradition of college football at centers in South Bend. Well, no one went to it because no one gives a shit about South Bend, Indiana. You know where they moved it to? Right down the road from me in Atlanta. That's right. They moved it in Atlanta where people actually want to be. Now, Jim Phillips came out and made a statement that just said, hey, he stands behind the 17 football members of the ACC. I know it's crazy, right? It's crazy that he would stand behind. So the Notre Dame is mad that the ACC official Twitter account basically did a comparison between Miami and Notre Dame and is standing behind the school that's committed to that's actually a member of the ACC. This is like being friends with benefits with a girl, and then she actually finds someone that wants to be committed to her, and that person getting mad. Hey, why are you leaving me for him? Because he actually wants to be with her. I've never seen every video I make is like this, where it's like I've never seen the likes of this before. The truth is, and a lot of people have said it too on other channels, if you would have joined the ACC, you would be in the playoffs. So you can scream until you're blue in the face about it has nothing to do with conferences, but the SEC's bias. Well, if there's so much bias toward the SEC and the Big Ten, join one of them. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too in this argument. This is what's so infuriating about this. It has nothing to do with us being in a conference, but there's so much favoritism, ESPN, SEC, and Big Ten. Well, if there's so much favoritism, join them. But you don't want to do that because you're too good. Too good, independent, too good. Well, it finally bit you in the ass. So this is why no one feels sorry for you. The ACC's all but, they have bent the knee to you. They let you become a member for a year. They let you schedule 5 ACC teams you get to beat up on. And Pigskin Pete, I watched his video. He made a good point. You could join the ACC and run it and win it, and you'd have a guaranteed playoff spot every year. But again, you're a little too good for it. And that's the other thing. If the ACC is so trash, which it is this year, join it and run it and get in the playoffs every year. No one gives a shit about you playing USC and Stanford and service academies and these other teams that you think you have some historic relationship with. No one cares. And what is your response? It's the same thing that I vilified the Florida State fan base for. The same thing. I get why you're mad, but your response to it is crybaby horseshit. Well, we're not going to play in the bowl game. Now, this is where I do differ with Pigskin Pete. I think that's bullshit. Yeah, it's your right. It's your right to say, hey, we're going to take our ball and go home. We're not going to play in no bowl game. And they're not the only one. Who is it? Like Kansas State has done this. Now it's not, we went from having, this is a whole other, this is just a little rant, I guess, for me. It started with players opting out of bowls. Now whole teams opting out of bowls. The first one I saw it wasn't even their fault, was Marshall, who had to opt out of a bowl they accepted the bid to because their coach got hired by Southern Miss and like 38 players hit the portal. They weren't even able to field a team. So, yeah, Georgia Tech, I guess, takes your place there. That's what happened for the Pop-Tart Bowl. And like my boy Sea-Dog, it might be a shitty bowl, but I want that bowl, or the Buzzsaw, or whoever the hell it was. It's an awful look for your institution. Not the worst look, though. Might have been involved with some other things that, like moving people from place to place, that was a little worse. But anyway, I don't understand the crybaby routine. And I don't know all the facts of it, but I predicted this, and it's been a minute since I've uploaded a video. I said, I thought, they're going to go cry to the NCAA and basically said, if we have a halfway decent team, you have to put us in the playoffs. We want a participation trophy. Hell, we should just give you the national title from last year that you lost. You tried. So, and you're Notre Dame. So here's a fake natty for you. The truth is, these rules are going to change. What muddied this up so bad is that the ACC was way down, and there's weird tie-break rules, which, by the way, the SEC's tie-break rules exactly the same as the ACC's. I didn't know that when I started making videos about it, but it went to like the 5th tie-break, and Duke got in. Now, am I mad at Duke for that? No. I'm mad at, first and foremost, Georgia Tech. My team shit the bed and lost 3 of the last 4 games. All they had to do was beat Pitt at home, and they couldn't do it. Unlike Notre Dame and their fan base and their AD, I can take responsibility for my own team shitting the bed and not taking care of business and not proving it on the field. You idiots can't, because you're soft. You're soft. You won't be the last, though. I know that. You won't be the last. So this is going to change next year. Between now and next year, they'll change these rules. And honestly, this won't happen. Pigskin Pete sent me and him and Sea-Dog are in a little group chat together, and throughout the day we'll text each other if we see things that pique our interest. But Pigskin Pete sent Sea-Dog and I this video on Twitter that John Gruden did on how to solve the playoff thing, because having a committee, first of all, is dumb. Is there any other sport that chooses who has an opportunity to compete for the championship by committee? This is like the Baptist church. Committees on committees is what we'll have next. And we'll all sit here and think real hard without really making any sensible decisions. It's like we'll have a committee to plan the work party or whatever the hell. It's dumb. But John Gruden said, add 5 more games. The hell with all these teams sitting on their asses while other teams play a conference title. Like that Notre Dame's mad at Alabama. Well, they have 3 losses. One of them was in a conference title, but it's it's not about conferences though, right? Not about conferences, Notre Dame. We're going to bitch about conferences though. One of their losses came in the SEC title. You know? And here's the thing. Even if, let's say we only had one group of 5 representative this year, Notre Dame still would have been left out. You'd put BYU in there. Or the ACC champion would be in there. It wouldn't have been Notre Dame. John Gruden says add 5 games. One of the ones he proposed was Miami Notre Dame. The last thing I think Notre Dame would want. He said, okay, maybe Notre Dame is a lot better than Miami at the end of the year. Let's prove it on the field. If Notre Dame, let's just reverse the roles and say Notre Dame beat Miami head-to-head. That's all they'd be talking about right now, and they'd be right, and they should be in. This ad hoc rationalization for people and their teams as to why they should be in and ignoring what's happened on the field is Bizarro World. So if you added 5 games, and look, conference titles are probably not going to be a thing anymore. Look, college football is never going back. It's never going back. We're not getting that genie back into the bottle. It is what it is. But first of all, I haven't cared for Notre Dame for some time, again, because of their pretentious fans that think we should just be national champions every year, despite what happens. Rudy. Everyone talks about Rudy being offsides. What they don't talk about is that entire movie is bullshit. 99% of that movie is made up. Hate to burst your bubble if you're a Notre Dame fan. The coach didn't hate Rudy. He actually loved Rudy. The players didn't form a coup and threaten to turn their jerseys in. It's all made up. Just like your excuses for why you should be in the playoffs. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Talk to you guys next time.